Hans Kelsen, his overall determination and quest to separate law from morality, politics, and history, developed what we now call today as the theory of Grundnorm, or popularly noted in legal positivism as normative or pure theory of law. What was the ambitions of Hans Kelsen? Hans Kelsen has seen that law over the years has not been differentiated from politics, from morality, and from all societal encumbrances. He then developed what we called the pure or normative theory of law, and that is what we are going to consider in this video. His intention and the overall motive and how this applies to legal positivism. If this is the first time you are coming across the channel, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, King's Advocate Network, because we release a legal video here every single Saturday of the week. Without wasting much of our time, we approach what we have come here to do, which is Kelsen normative or pure theory of school of law. The pure theory of law was provided by Professor Hans Kelsen, an Australian legal philosopher at the early 20th century. Kelsen's overall intention was to ensure that theory of law deal with the law as it is, not as the law as it ought to be. According to him, a theory of law must be pure in the sense that it must be free and not contaminated by politics, history, sociology, or so many other moral obligations. He stated that the law is a norm, rule or code, or standard that tells us what to do and what not to do. And law is valid because it derives its validity from a higher norm. He stated that law is norm, rule, code, or standard that tells us what to do and what not to do. Like I said in the preamble of this very video, the idea that brought the issue of pure theory of law or normative theory of law, or what we regard in constitutional law as theory of Grundnorm, was the overall intention of Kelsen to separate law from morality, from society, from history, from politics. So, like, I want you to get this gist correct. What makes this in a pure, why we call it a pure theory of law or a normative or theory of Grundnorm is that it is still under legal positivism. But just as the name implies, pure, it tries to alienate law from any other thing, from politics. You see that last week we considered the one that has to do with command theory. I told you that command theory and pure theory are still under legal positivism, which is still a single theory of law when juxtaposed with natural law, realism theory, historical school of law, and so many other theories. Do you get my point? So two of them are still under one, which is legal positivism. They are still under legal positivism because they are the only theory that propagate the idea that law is that which is written down. Law is that which is made by human. Do you get? Unlike other school of laws. So that's why they are still categorized together. Ordinarily, Hans Kelsen's theory of law could have been separated from John Austin, but because they mean the same thing, they are still linked together. The only distinction between two of them is that John Austin linked law with politics, and Hans Kelsen is not comfortable with it. He wants to separate law from politics. It was this idea of separating law from politics is what brought you into this video, and is what brought me into making this video, and I'm going to tell you how we intend to do it. Kelsen, in his theory or argument, if you like, stated that law is a norm. That is where we got that name, normative. That law is a norm, a code, or body of rules that governs what we humans should do and not to do. And a particular law that governs our action is valid because it draws its precedent or power or authority from other law. So he stated that because of this, there are hierarchy of norms. Remember I said that law, based on his argument, are norms. So I believe you can now relate if I begin to use his term as stated in his theory of pure theory or theory of Grundnorm, as I'm explaining to you now. So he said that there are hierarchy of norms, and in this hierarchy of norm, a particular norm or a particular law is valid because it draws its power from other law, which is valid. And this cycle continues. That is, higher norm, this norm is good because it draws its power from the other norm, which is good. The other norm, the other law is good because it draws its power from other law, which is good. And this hierarchy continues until we get to a point where we reach to the bottomless pit, or we reach to the bottomless, either up or down. There is no other law than that other particular law, and that other particular law then becomes the Grundnorm. And you cannot trace the validity of that law because we have assumed it to be the Grundnorm. Hi, I just hope somebody will get this point. Remember, you can rewatch this video so you understand me clearly. So there are hierarchy of norms, and at the apex of all norms, at the base of that norm, that is where we get the original norm, and that original norm is what we refer to as the Grundnorm. And that Grundnorm, we cannot say this is where it comes from. Remember, we say that the validity of other laws depends on its origin, where it is derived its power from other law which is higher. And when we get to the highest law which has no power, where it derives its own power, that becomes a Grundnorm. And because we cannot ascertain where that law is coming from, we assume it, we presuppose that this exists. It becomes presumption. That is, we can then presuppose that this becomes the Grundnorm. So to analyze this, I have two laws here. First, this is the Freedom of Information Act. It is this law that gives us the right to express ourselves, and this law is derived from the Constitution by virtue of Section 39, which borders on the right to freedom of expression. So when you get to the Section 39, you see that Section 39 grants us the freedom to express ourselves. So this Freedom of Information Act is an expression of that Section 39. Is an expression, is valid because it draws its power from this Constitution by virtue of Section 39. So this law is here. This law is valid because it draws its power from this law. So many enactments, they are all valid because they draw its power from this law. And because this one now, we could regard this one as the Grundnorm, although in the realm of constitutional law, there has been a debate as to whether constitution is the Grundnorm, and that is not my business. It is a headache when you be treating this issue in Grundnorm in constitutional law. You also go deep, you will see that even the constitution cannot be regarded as the Grundnorm. But what you are saying is that the law made by the legislature is valid because they draw their power from the Constitution. The Constitution is valid because the people have accepted it. And then the acceptance of the people becomes the Grundnorm, which you can only presuppose. Yes, that is the only typical explanation I have for you when you have this issue of Grundnorm, because it is issue that has raised a lot of issue in constitutional law. Because the assumption of Hans Kelsen can be faulted, but I will not fault him in this video because this is not what we are dealing with. In our next week, we are going to consider our criticisms, which is still relevant to watch that video, because in all your exam on positive law, you are going to address this thing I have single-handedly talked to you about in this very video. So we have seen the idea of Kelsen. Kelsen is saying that I want to separate law from morality, as natural law has claimed. I want to separate law from politics, as John Austin, in his own idea of positive law, has claimed. I want to separate law from judicial perspective, as Oliver Wendell in realist theory has claimed. Now, I want to put my own theory in such a way that is still aligned with positive law, which is that law is here, law is here, law is here, law continues. And this one here is valid. This one here is valid because there is other law here, and the other law here is valid because there is other law here. It continues until it get to a point where we cannot trace again the origin of that one, and that one we cannot trace becomes the Grundnorm. And to trace the validity of Grundnorm, we say that it is Grundnorm because it is supposed to be Grundnorm. That is it. So I will just provide you with a holistic definition of this Grundnorm of a thing. So the Grundnorm, also referred to as basic norm, is a hypothetical foundational norm that is presupposed rather than created by any legal authority. It is not a norm that can be created, enacted, repealed, or modified. Rather, it is the ultimate source of the validity of all norms within legal system. So we have seen now that the Grundnorm cannot be repealed, the Grundnorm cannot be changed, the Grundnorm cannot be tampered with. That is where it becomes a problem when you say the Constitution is the Grundnorm, because even the Constitution itself can be amended by the legislature. And the idea of Kelsen is that the Grundnorm cannot be traced, cannot be tampered with. So what then can we say is the Grundnorm has become the problem? That is how we develop this concept of Grundnorm. And Kelsen tells us that, see, even myself, I don't know how to tell you people that this is the Grundnorm, but let us presupposition, meaning let us assume that this is the Grundnorm so that you and I will not run mad. When we get to the Constitution, let us take the Constitution as Grundnorm. But now constitutional scrutiny, you will believe me that even the Constitution cannot be regarded as constitutional law. Don't worry, if you're not in second year, when you will be encounter this topic, you will actually know what I'm saying. So the idea of Grundnorm or the pure theory of law, take it from me, simply want to separate law from any other thing. And Kelsen succeeded in doing so because he has linked all law with laws. He said that Freedom of Information Act is valid because it draws its precedent from the Constitution. Evidence Act is valid because it draws its precedent from the Constitution. All other laws, all other enactments, all other many Consumer Act, everything, all of them is valid basically because they draw its precedent, they draw its authority from the Constitution. And then the Constitution is valid because the people have accepted it. And the acceptance of the people then becomes what we then say we have given our presupposition that this is our law and our Grundnorm. That's how we answer this issue of Grundnorm. And we have seen the idea of pure theory of law, that it tends to separate law from every other thing. So next week, Saturday, we are going to consider the criticisms and advantage of legal positivism. Remember, we talked about John Austin command theory, which is still under positive law. Now we have talked about Kelsen normative or pure theory or theory of Grundnorm, which is still under positive law. I told you earlier that it is under positive law because it stipulates law as it is, not as the law as it ought to be. It stipulates that law is that which is written down. And according to him, law draws its precedent from continuous law until we get to a point where we say that this is the Grundnorm. And the Grundnorm has no origin. It is assumed to be there because we have to assume that it is there. That is it. So next week we'll consider that. Please share this video and like it, and I will see you in my next video. If you're interested in watching that very video where I discuss command theory, click the link above or go to our playlist section where you are going to see more video that will help you. Check it out. God bless you.